Ever wondered who was the man standing shoulder to shoulder with Julius Caesar, the one who nearly inherited the Roman world? He was a warrior, a politician, a lover, and one of the most compelling figures in all of history. Today, we're diving deep into the epic life of Mark Antony, Caesar's greatest general and the man who shook the foundations of Rome. Born into a distinguished but financially troubled family around 83 BC, Marcus Antonius was a classic Roman bad boy in his youth. Known for his good looks, charismatic personality, and a wild streak, he racked up enormous debts and lived life in the fast lane. But this rebellious spirit hid a brilliant military mind, waiting for its moment to shine. Seeking to escape his creditors and make a name for himself, Antony headed east. It was in Judea and Egypt, where he first proved his mettle, showing incredible bravery and a natural talent for command. He was a soldier's soldier, charismatic and relatable, often drinking and joking with his men, earning their undying loyalty. This was the foundation of his power, a bond with the legions that few could match. His big break came when he joined his relative, the one and only Julius Caesar, in his conquest of Gaul. This is where the legend of Antony the warrior was truly forged. He was Caesar's right-hand man, his most trusted subordinate. At the brutal siege of Alesia, Antony commanded cavalry with stunning effect, and at every turn, he demonstrated his tactical genius and unwavering loyalty. When Caesar made the fateful decision to cross the Rubicon and march on Rome, igniting a civil war, who was by his side? Mark Antony. He was instrumental in the pivotal Battle of Pharsalus, where they decisively defeated their rival, Pompey the Great. Antony's command of the left wing of Caesar's army was crucial to their victory. He had become indispensable. Back in Rome, while Caesar was mopping up the last of his enemies, Antony was left in charge of Italy. Here, his political skills were tested. He was a master of the people, but his administrative style was often chaotic. Yet Caesar's faith in him never wavered. He made Antony his co-consul for the year 44 BC, the highest office in the Republic. It seemed Antony was destined to be the heir to Caesar's legacy. But then came the Ides of March. On that fateful day, as senators swarmed Caesar with hidden daggers, Antony was deliberately held back outside the Senate House. The conspirators knew that if Antony was there, he would have fought to the death for his friend and mentor. The assassination of Caesar plunged Rome into chaos. While the assassins, led by Brutus and Cassius, hoped to be hailed as liberators, they underestimated the Roman people's love for Caesar, and they certainly underestimated Mark Antony. Stepping onto the public stage, Antony delivered one of the most famous speeches in history at Caesar's funeral. With masterful rhetoric, he displayed Caesar's blood-stained toga and read his will, which left generous gifts to the citizens of Rome. He turned public grief into a burning rage directed at the assassins, forcing them to flee the city. Antony was now the most powerful man in Rome, or so he thought. But Caesar's will had one more surprise: a new heir. Not Antony, but his young, sickly, and previously unknown great-nephew Octavian. At just 18 years old, Octavian arrived in Rome to claim his inheritance and his name, Gaius Julius Caesar Octavianus. Initially, Antony dismissed him as a boy, a pawn to be easily managed. This was a colossal miscalculation. Octavian was cunning, politically brilliant, and possessed an iron will. A tense power struggle erupted. This led to the formation of the Second Triumvirate, an uneasy three-man dictatorship between Antony, Octavian, and another of Caesar's generals, Lepidus. Their first order of business? Revenge. They hunted down and eliminated Caesar's assassins at the Battle of Philippi, with Antony once again proving himself the superior military commander. With their enemies defeated, the triumvirs carved up the Roman world. Antony took the wealthy, glamorous East. It was here in Tarsus that he summoned the Queen of Egypt to answer for her loyalties. But when Cleopatra arrived, it wasn't as a supplicant. She sailed up the river Cydnus in a magnificent barge, dressed as the goddess Venus, completely captivating Antony. What began as a political alliance quickly blossomed into one of history's most legendary love affairs. For years, Antony lived with Cleopatra in Alexandria, a life of unparalleled luxury and power. They had 3 children together, and ruled the East as a Hellenistic king and queen. Antony was at the peak of his power, a near deity in the East, but back in Rome, his rival was watching and waiting. Octavian, ever the master propagandist, used Antony's relationship with the foreign queen to his advantage. He painted Antony as a man who had forgotten his Roman roots, a slave to a seductive sorceress who wanted to rule Rome from Egypt. He portrayed their relationship as a threat to Roman values and traditions. The final straw came when Antony divorced Octavian's sister, Octavia, whom he had married to seal their alliance. To Rome, this was an unforgivable insult. Octavian seized Antony's will from the Temple of Vesta and read it to the Senate. It revealed Antony's wish to be buried in Alexandria with Cleopatra. This was the proof Octavian needed. The Senate declared war, not on Antony, but on Cleopatra. The final epic confrontation came in 31 BC at the naval battle of Actium. It was a disaster for Antony and Cleopatra. Faced with defeat, they broke through the enemy line and fled back to Egypt, abandoning their fleet and army, which promptly surrendered to Octavian. The end was near. Octavian's legions landed in Egypt and advanced on Alexandria. Hearing a false report that Cleopatra had taken her own life, a heartbroken Antony fell on his sword. He was carried dying to Cleopatra's mausoleum, where he died in her arms. A few days later, rather than be paraded through Rome in chains as a prize in Octavian's triumph, Cleopatra chose her own end. With Antony and Cleopatra gone, the 18-year-old boy Antony, once dismissed, was now the sole undisputed master of the Roman world. He would go on to become Augustus, Rome's first emperor, ushering in centuries of the Pax Romana. Mark Antony's story is a timeless tragedy of ambition, love, and loyalty. He was a brilliant general who came within a hair's breadth of ruling the world, only to lose it all for a queen and a kingdom in the East. His life serves as a powerful reminder of how personal passions can change the course of history. What do you think? Was Antony a hero who stayed true to his heart, or a fool who threw away an empire? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into history.
What if I told you the world as we know it could have been completely different, all because of one woman's ambition? We all know the story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, and her tragic romance with the Roman general Mark Antony. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if the romance was just a means to an end? What if Cleopatra's real goal was not just to save her kingdom, but to conquer the world? Let's rewind the clock to 41 BC. Rome is a republic in chaos, teetering on the edge of civil war after the assassination of Julius Caesar. The power is split between three men, one of whom is Mark Antony, a brilliant but impulsive general who controls the wealthy eastern provinces. And then there's Cleopatra. She's not just a queen, she's a political genius, fluent in multiple languages, and a direct descendant of Alexander the Great's general. She inherited a kingdom that was rich in resources, but overshadowed by the might of Rome. She knew that to survive, she had to play the game better than anyone else. Her first move was with Caesar, a partnership that secured her throne. But with Caesar gone, she needed a new, more powerful ally. Enter Mark Antony. When he summoned her to Tarsus, she didn't arrive as a subordinate. Oh no, she sailed up the Cydnus River on a magnificent barge, dressed as the goddess Venus, surrounded by opulence. Antony, who saw himself as the god Dionysus, was instantly captivated. Everyone saw it as the beginning of a legendary love affair. But what if, for Cleopatra, it was a calculated step in a grandmaster's chess game? Imagine this. Cleopatra sees the weakness in Rome. She sees the internal rivalries, the greed, the instability. She knows Antony has the military might, but she possesses the wealth, the strategic mind, and the lineage to legitimize a new world order. She uses her charm and intelligence not just to win his heart, but to influence his decisions. She convinces him that his destiny isn't in Rome, but with her in Alexandria. This becomes the new center of power. Together, they are unstoppable. With Egypt's vast grain supplies and treasury, Cleopatra funds Antony's legions. They don't just defend Egypt, they go on the offensive. Instead of fighting his rival Octavian, Antony, guided by Cleopatra's strategy, consolidates his power in the east, conquering Parthia and securing the trade routes to India. Their influence grows, creating a new Hellenistic Roman Empire, a fusion of Greek culture, Egyptian wealth, and Roman military discipline. Back in Rome, Octavian tries to paint Antony as a puppet of a foreign queen. But it's too late. The people of the East, tired of Roman corruption, rally behind their new leaders. Antony and Cleopatra aren't seen as traitors, but as liberators. They present themselves as divine rulers, a new Isis and Osiris, bringing stability and prosperity. In this alternate history, the Battle of Actium never happens, or if it does, they win. With a superior navy funded by Egypt and a united Eastern army, they crush Octavian's forces. They march on Rome not as conquerors, but as restorers of order. Cleopatra doesn't become a Roman empress. That's too small a role. She and Antony establish a diarchy, a dual rule, with their capital in Alexandria, the true centre of the world. Think about the consequences. The Roman Empire as we know it, centred in Italy, might never have reached its peak. Instead, we'd have a Greco-Egyptian empire, with Alexandria as its capital, becoming the hub of science, art and philosophy for centuries to come. Latin might have faded, while Greek became the dominant language of power and culture. The history of Western civilization, the rise of Christianity, the entire map of Europe and the Middle East, it all would have been rewritten. All because one brilliant queen decided to use love not as an emotion, but as the most powerful weapon in her arsenal, aiming for nothing less than the entire world. It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? A world ruled not by the Caesars, but by the heirs of Cleopatra. What do you think? Could she have pulled it off? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into what-if history, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.